Welcome to Asian ID announced its filming launch. The comment section exploded before a single trailer had even dropped, and doesn't that already reveal how today's short drama audiences fall in love with emotional imagination long before the story itself officially begins? The names Chun and Zhai Yiying alone were already enough to ignite curiosity across the short drama circle, because audiences have developed an almost instinctive trust towards certain actor combinations. Yet when news followed that Chen Xi would appear in a special guest role while Wang Nai and Zhang firmly secured the second male lead position, didn't the entire lineup suddenly start looking less like a normal production and more like a carefully engineered hit? What makes this drama particularly dangerous in the best possible way is not merely the storyline itself, but the overwhelming sense that every casting decision feels designed to create emotional discussion online, and in the current entertainment climate, isn't being discussable. Half the definition of success takes Hae Yiying first, because her appeal does not belong to the instantly aggressive type of beauty that attacks viewers within 1 second, but rather the kind that slowly settles into people's minds the longer they look at her, and isn't the type of face often more lethal in emotional storytelling. She carries a softness that appears quiet and delicate on the surface, yet once she enters a role, an unexpected toughness quietly rises underneath her calm appearance, creating the exact contradiction modern audiences love most. Because isn't restrained strength always more memorable than loud confidence? Even the name Zhou Jingni already sounds like someone carrying untold stories inside her silence, as though she were the type of woman who appears emotionally composed while secretly wrestling storms beneath the surface. And the moment Zhai Yiying steps into that emotional atmosphere, doesn't the role suddenly feel believable before she even speaks? Some actors rely on their appearance to imitate a character, yet Zhai Yiying often creates the opposite effect, because the role itself begins enhancing her natural temperament instead. And isn't that one of the clearest signs of casting alignment? Her face remains gentle while her aura refuses to feel weak, which makes her especially suitable for the sweetness hidden inside emotional naive style that dominates today's short drama market, because audiences no longer simply want romance, but emotional tension sharp enough to leave scars, don't they? Then there is Chun, whose reputation inside the short drama industry has already become almost synonymous with emotionally damaged male leads, because the moment audiences hear his name, images immediately surface of deep longing, restrained heartbreak, and eyes carrying too many unsaid emotions. And can any actor ask for a stronger audience association than that? Chun possesses a particularly rare ability to make emotional collapse feel genuine instead of performative, because when tears appear in his eyes, viewers rarely feel like they are watching acting tricks, but rather emotions physically struggling to escape from inside him. And isn't authenticity the one thing audiences still crave? No matter how exaggerated short dramas become, the redness around his eyes alone can instantly create narrative weight, as though entire histories of regret and longing already exist behind a single expression, and in a format where every second matters. Doesn't that emotional efficiency become incredibly valuable? He is especially suited for characters who speak little while internally destroying themselves through silence and sacrifice, because the most addictive pain in modern romance stories often comes not from shouting, but from emotional restraint slowly suffocating someone from within. Doesn't it? And short dramas thrive precisely on that kind of instantly recognizable emotional suffering, because audiences today do not always have patience for slow emotional construction, but they still crave immediate emotional intensity, and what delivers faster than a man silently breaking apart for Then comes Chen Xi's guest appearance, which transforms the conversation into something even more interesting, because although his role may not occupy enormous screen time, his presence alone already carries visibility strong enough to generate mind momentum. Doesn't it? Chen Xi has become one of those rapidly rising names inside the short drama ecosystem whose constant appearances across different productions create a sense of familiarity with viewers almost automatically. And isn't repetition one of the fastest ways to build emotional recognition? What makes his participation especially meaningful is that audiences no longer react with "why is he here again," but rather "even he joined this project," which subtly transforms his cameo into a sign of industry confidence. And entertainment, aren't invisible endorsements often more persuasive than official marketing campaigns? Friendship cameos in short dramas frequently generate stronger emotional buzz than traditional promotional tactics, precisely because they imply shinships within the industry itself, because actors are busy, schedules are chaotic, and appearing briefly in someone else's project often signals genuine support rather than contractual obligation. Doesn't it? Chen Xi also carries the kind of screen presence perfectly suited for shinily layered supporting characters, because he can appear warm and approachable while simultaneously maintaining an invisible sense of emotional distance and control. And isn't quiet charisma sometimes more effective than loud dominance? A single glance or subtle shift in expression from him can already establish atmosphere without excessive dialogue. Which matters enormously in short-form storytelling where emotional information must travel quickly. And doesn't efficiency define modern entertainment? Then there is Wang Ni and Jiang occupying the second male lead position, arguably the most difficult emotional role inside romance dramas altogether, because the second lead must remain sympathetic without overshadowing the male protagonist entirely, and isn't balancing heartbreak and restraint one of the hardest acting challenges possible? If the character becomes too cruel, audiences stop caring, yet if he shines too brightly, he risks destabilizing the intended emotional center of the story. So the ideal second male lead exists in a painful middle ground where he loves deeply while understanding he may never truly win, and isn't tragic helplessness emotionally irresistible? Wang Ni and Jiang's appearance fits this archetype almost perfectly, because he actually carries the atmosphere of a polite senior, someone restrained, educated, emotionally controlled, and quietly dependable, which immediately places him inside the audience's mental category of doomed heartbreak, doesn't it? Many viewers have not even watched the drama yet they already emotionally predict he will become one of those love but cannot obtain characters destined to suffer beautifully from the sidelines. And why are audiences endlessly fascinated by people who arrive too late? Characters like this often become emotional traps for viewers, because their tragedy does not come from lacking worth, but from lacking timing. And isn't bad timing one of the cruelest realities? Both fiction and real life repeatedly confirm the audience instinctively sympathizes with such figures because they represent a deeply human pain, namely being emotionally qualified yet structurally excluded from happiness. And who has never feared becoming that person at least once? This entire casting lineup also reveals something important about why modern audiences become so emotionally attached to short drama productions so quickly. Because viewers increasingly crave familiar faces with familiar chemistry rather than gambling emotional energy on entirely unknown combinations, don't they? A drama's success today depends not only on plot quality, but also on whether the cast already carries emotional hooks audiences can immediately recognize and emotionally trust, because attention spans continue shrinking while emotional expectations remain enormous. And isn't instant emotional accessibility becoming the entertainment industry's ultimate currency? Chun and Zhai Yiying already possess strong visibility inside the short drama track, while Chen Si functions as the kind of recognizable surprise presence capable of triggering online discussion the second he appears on screen. Meaning the drama naturally accumulates multiple viral entry points before release itself, doesn't it? And this genre thrives on tightly twisted emotional relationships above all else, because understandings, emotional suppression, longing, hesitation, jealousy, and unresolved attraction form the emotional grammar of modern short dramas, and our audience is ultimately searching for emotional explosions rather than calm storytelling. People no longer tune in for purely linear narratives alone, because what truly spreads online are those moments where feelings erupt before words fully arrive, where someone almost confesses, almost cries, almost breaks. And isn't emotional incompleteness strangely addictive? That may also explain why short dramas have become such a dominant force in contemporary entertainment culture altogether, because unlike traditional long dramas that slowly build emotional immersion over dozens of episodes, short dramas aponize immediacy itself. Relying not on gradual warmth but on emotional detonations powerful enough to capture attention instantly, doesn't it? Ultimately, productions like The Love Letter of the 25th Time Zone remain memorable not because audiences suddenly develop more patience, but because modern life itself has become emotionally overloaded while attention has become painfully fragmented, and in such an exhausted era, isn't the fastest emotional connection often the one people choose first? Short dramas understand this reality almost too well, because within minutes they deliver hooks, reversals, longing, heartbreak, and visual chemistry strong enough to suspend viewers emotionally before rational judgment even catches up. And isn't that precisely why people call them addictive despite knowing how exaggerated they can be? So when this drama finally premieres, audiences probably will not only focus on the plot itself, because many viewers are already waiting to see who cries first, who falls first, who suffers most beautifully, and who manages to make deep longing feel real enough to escape the screen entirely. And in today's short drama market, isn't emotional believability the only thing more valuable than speed? Thank you for watching the video. See you again.